it feels like Biden wants to have his cake and eat it too, wants to keep the status quo, does not want to even look back in American history to take steps to truly address this in a way that would help most people, not just these shareholders. And I'm thinking of climate change and student debt, which people are eyeing. All eyes are on him before the midterms to do something on. And yet you've got the oil and gas industry and then the Fed chair raising interest rates that are fundamentally going in contrast to any long-term plan of addressing those two crises right now. I guess just final thoughts on what, on that, and sort of, unless Biden is willing to make a break from that status quo, do you see this getting better?
I don't see Mr. Biden making a break. He never has. Let's be honest with one another, all of us. He's been a senator from Delaware. Delaware is the state in the United States where most corporations go to file their papers. Corporations have to be registered in a state. The reason they go to Delaware, it has the most corporate-friendly laws anywhere. There's no mystery. And he is the senator from the state that's down on its knees to every big corporation. Please come here. And they have. He's not the man who's going to confront corporations that are ripping people off. He's their man. And he may be less crazy and less scary and less divisive in the moment than Mr. Trump was, so he can get elected. But he's not a man to deal with an economic system like this one to change it. He believes in it. It's the basis of the career he's enjoyed all the way up to the top. This is not the man you look to. That's why in other countries you ask these people, step aside, because you're just not constitutionally able. And here he is, let's remember, looking at a midterm election in November that at this point looks like a blowout, not good for him, good for the people he says he opposes. And as you rightly say, he's not doing any of the dramatic things he could do, he should do, even some of those he might not be able to persevere. The very fact that he would be trying, let the Republicans block him, but he's really trying, would allow him to get the support of what I am clear in my work is a majority of Americans who don't like what's happening, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's a ripoff.
Before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you specifically, we always talk about the, elimination of student debt, how critical that would be, even at $10,000, which Biden said he was for. Now it's okay, means tested, whatever. But again, it's not clear if any of that will happen. Will that, in the long term, it will help millions of people free up money to be able to do things like invest or buy a home, et cetera, start a business. But in the short term, are they just worried that that's going to create inflation because you're going to have people with more money? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the direct impact on this economy as we have it now?
Let me give you a closing answer that deals with this.
Yes.
And I go back to my best friend here, my Republican president, Richard M. Nixon, back in 71. Here's an example of a program that would solve your difficulty. Forgive the student loans. Give the 42 million Americans who are now stuck with those loans for the terrible decision they made to get more education and thereby become able to contribute more to the society than what they could have contributed without the education. For this terrible crime, they are now in deep debt. Forgive the debt. That means they'll all have money that they used to pay the debt with that they will now go out and buy goods and services. But to avoid the inflation, which you claim is why you don't want to help the students, here we go. Let's have a wage price freeze. Let's have us do what Nixon did. You know why? Because then all the extra money that the students will spend will come to the businesses. They will not be able to raise the price to meet that money. they'll have to order more goods to be produced to sell. In other
Right.
words, we'll get what we want: the spending, the jobs, the production, but not the inflation. All of that, all of that is eminently doable. We've done it. We know how to do it.
Yes.
It's that the people at the top, look, we are a debt ridden society. Our government is in debt up to here. Our corporations, because we've had zero interest rates or nearly such for 20 years, every corporation in America, whatever its problem, solved it quickest, easiest, and cheapest by going and borrowing lots of money because it was virtually free. So our corporations are in debt, our government is in debt. Here's the problem: if you help the students because they deserve it, you know what's going to happen? Every desperate homeowner, every desperate car owner, every desperate credit card holder is going to say, hey, what about me? I'm in trouble. I can't do for my family. I need some help. Good that you did that for the students. Now give it to me. At that point, capitalism begins to crumble because it has built itself a house of debt cards and it can't quite navigate. So the answer is the people at the top don't want to start a process they can't handle. So they're not going to give it to the students either. And let me close with this. I'm a professor. I've been dealing with students all my life. I won't bore you with the number of times a young man or a young woman has come into my office. We've had a conversation about a midterm exam or a term paper or whatever it is. And when we're done with that, there's a little personal moment. And the tears start coming down, men and women alike. Why? I can't afford it. My mother just called me and told me my father lost his job. They can't cover for me. I'm already in debt $38,000. I can't borrow more, but I can't give up my education. Then I'll be left with no degree, and the 38,000 is still there. I mean, and they don't know what to do, and their family can't help them anymore. We're putting people through experiences like that left and right.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to tell you about another country like ours. It's called Germany. In Germany, they have a different attitude. Here's how it works. In Germany, universities, get ready for this, are free.
Stop.
Free. It's just free. There is no tuition, no fees, nothing. The student has to cover his or her, room and board. You have to feed yourself. You have to clothe. That they won't pay you. But you are not required. And not only is that available to every German, here's what you might want to make a note about. It's open to anyone everywhere. There are about 25,000 Americans in Germany getting degrees and paying nothing because they can't afford to go to college in their own country. And you know what the Germans say? We will keep a certain percentage of them. You know, they'll meet a German boy or a German girl and one thing to another and all the rest. They'll stay here and we'll get the benefit.
They'll contribute. Yeah.
Right. And even if they go back home, they'll have a feeling about Germany and all of that.
Right.
That will be a good thing for us. It's a good investment. And we want people to do this. So we're going to pay for it out of taxes on the, and by the way, Germany is one of 8 countries in Europe now that does this. So it's not unique to Germany. Why in the world is the United States, which boasts being richer than all those countries, unable to do? And the answer is we are shooting ourselves in the foot. In the long run, this is a way for the United States to become less of a player in the world economy because other people, like the Germans, like the Chinese, are going exactly in the opposite direction.
Well, we have no concept of soft power. We have no concept of any power that doesn't involve military might. It's just like, oh, the idea that we would be heralded for education around the world and including our own citizens, that just boggles the mind. If we don't get our way in the world, we'll just, throw a bunch of F-16s over there and drone them. I mean, it's so backwards. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.